What's going on, squad? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking all things World's Strongest Man, the good and the bad, what I thought about my recent trip out to California to compete in the World's Strongest Man. I'm sure a few of these might shock you, so stick around to the end of the video. And if you are new here, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out a ton. So, without further ado, you should all know by now that I went out very recently to compete in my first World's Strongest Man where I came 5th. Really happy. It was just an amazing trip, and honestly like a core life memory that I think myself and Days are not going to forget anytime soon. So the whole trip was overwhelmingly positive. I had a great time. The comp was great. So all of this video, the constructive, the good, is all just my honest opinion about World's Strongest Man. What was good, what was bad, what could be done better, and what changes would I like to see, basically. So we'll kick off with the good stuff and the stuff that I really took away from the competition. So first of all, athlete experience. From the point we landed, it was absolutely like exceptionally ran. There was transfers from the airport straight to the hotel. The whole time, the site was only 15-minute walk away from the hotel, and there was a minibus on the whole time. We usually walked, to be honest. Like, it was probably quicker to walk, but obviously a lot of the guys favoured going on the minibus, which is totally fine. But literally, we knew exactly where we needed to be. We knew exactly when we needed to be warming up. And everything was just so smooth, like, throughout. So the general, like, athlete experience is just overwhelmingly really good. You're treated very well. You're respected. Like, even me being a newbie that no one really knew. Just the whole trip was really cool. And it just felt like a step up from other comps. Like, you really felt professional, and that is like, it's just cool, you know. Number two, probably the next best thing was just how well ran the competition was. Obviously, being ran by Darren and Colin from Giants Live, you expect it to be a really smooth competition, and it was. Like, genuinely, I do not have a negative thing to say about any of the events. Everything was super clear. The only thing, obviously it being a TV show, a lot of the time you needed to go up and you'd be called up, and then you'd sort of be stood doing different camera shots and stuff like that. Obviously, the worst for that was the deadlift, because you was in the suit just cooking, basically, in that 35-degree weather. But nothing to do with Giants Live. It's all TV stuff, and you knew that going in. So as long as you knew that you were to expect that, it was pretty easy to deal with. So the actual competition itself was incredibly smooth, considering I had to get through 25 athletes. Everyone was where they needed to be every time. There was no real equipment failure. I mean, Mitch Hooper dropped 240 kilo on the barrels, but I mean, they had them replaced within like 3-5 minutes and fixed. So all the equipment was amazing. The warm-up area, which was, I think, thanks to Steve Slater and his crew, unbelievable. Like, all Rogue equipment. They had, even for the block press, they had a flat, like, block sandbag. So literally, guy, like, the competition to be a part of was unbelievable. Like, once you get around all the TV contracts and stuff like that, the competition just always runs so smoothly. Anything that Darren touches usually runs very well. So there was absolutely no complaints from me on like any of the events or how the comp was run. It was A1 the whole weekend, the whole week. And then thirdly, everybody I spoke to, every single person, staff, crew, even just like the walking around, there were just strongman legends everywhere. Big Z was knocking around, guys like Travis Ortmeyer, Nick Best. Everyone was there, you know, all the big cheeses were there. And it was just so cool getting to chat to all these guys. Everyone was super friendly. All the staff was super helpful. As an athlete, you had an athlete coordinator for each group who you could ask any question, like literally anything, and they would sort of find an answer for you. Or if they didn't know the answer, they'd ask someone. And literally everything was super, like, just well-oiled from that point of view. So, yeah, literally, honestly, whilst the competition was running, everyone was lovely. You knew who to speak to about stuff. Like, I think that was a big issue before. Like, everyone said they didn't really have a contact point. It was made very clear to us when we got there, like, who we should be speaking to for what. And yeah, because there's a lot of people involved. Like, we had an athlete coordinator this year, and also Terry and Rob helping out representing the athletes was a huge help. So for example, I asked for the Flintstone press to be made lighter just for the opener, and it was originally meant to be 200. They dropped it to just under 190. Obviously, it didn't make a bloody difference in the end anyway, but there we go. Like, at least I had a reasonable shot, whereas if I knew I was unracking 200 kilo, it'd just be like, I don't know if I'd even warm up, guys. So stuff like that is improving, and it's great that we have these contact points and people to talk to. Right, if I was to talk negative, so again, just to reiterate, competition was amazing. These things, like, they're not deal breakers, they're just things that I think like could improve and would be better for the athletes and everyone involved if they were tightened up a little bit. So the first thing and the worst thing I saw all weekend really was food. So you're covered, you have an athlete meal whilst the competition is running. During, like, outside of the comp, obviously we get there a few days before, you don't have meals provided for you or anything like that. They do give you some cash. I think we got about $300 when we got there, which again, we didn't expect. So it's a really nice gesture just to help pay for food whilst you're over there. Obviously, if you've been to California, you'll know it's pretty pricey. So that didn't go very far, but it's still a nice gesture, and we were very grateful of that. The issue with the food that I have specifically was, we were told like we'd get an athlete meal about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so in between events. I went over pretty late. Everyone else had already gone. I think we were out wandering or something like that, or doing media bits. So we went over, and we literally got there in time to see Shane cutting into some raw chicken. Like, it wasn't even like underdone, it was raw in the middle. Unfortunately, Shane had already had a bite of this, spat it all out, but it still got him. I'm sure you guys have seen the stories, but like, Shane was really struggling with dehydration, food poisoning, and it was food provided by World's Strongest Man. It's not like he went out of his own accord and got some dodgy food. That was the food that was provided to us as athletes. They then changed that batch. They binned it all. I don't know how many people were served it. And then like, it was basically, guys, like a huge catering company that did, it was a huge tray of chicken that was just like boiled. There was rice, which was as close to inedible as possible. It was just a huge batch of rice that had gone cold, and she was like carving it. Like, you shouldn't need to carve rice, guys. I don't know how long it had been cooked for, but it really wasn't good. I'm not a princess. I grew up on a farm. We grew up like with not a load of money, so I will eat most things, but that meal was genuinely like really bad, like, and it was dangerous, and it really jeopardized one of the British guys' chances in the final. So that was just a bit of that pissed me off the most, really, because like, again, that's the food that the world's team are putting their name to, and it's like poisoning athletes, and it wasn't good. I don't think any of the athletes even went back to the catering like the next few days, because we were just so put off after day one. So that was a real shame. Obviously, you can't really blame Worlds for that. I mean, they are responsible, but it was an outsourced catering company. But, you know, when you've got 25 of the strongest dudes there, and the only thing they have to eat is some raw chicken and some, like, stodgy rice, it's not good. Obviously, the next few days, we were aware of this and we prepared accordingly, so we took meals. But that first day, we literally thought, well, we have an athlete meal, so we'll just pack snacks. And now I know, like, for next time, I will just 100% take my own meals with me and eat food that I have prepared, or Daisy's prepared, or Will has prepared, that I trust. So, yeah, food, not great. The other thing that, like, greased me up the wrong way a little bit is, like, the few days before you have these media obligations, totally fine, and to be honest, it was really fun the first time. I remember I bumped into Mitch and he said, like, make the most of it for the first year, because like after the first time it's just not fun. And I do not mind media stuff, I do not mind doing medical stuff like that, but the way they were spaced was like over 2 days. So you'd have like 1 or 2 things at like 9 a.m, 9:30, and then you'd have a gap, so you'd go back to the hotel, and then you'd have 1 thing at like 2 p.m, and then you'd have 3 more the next day that would be like random times. It just seemed a bit weirdly organised, guys, to be like brutally honest. Like, each appointment took 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so like, as an athlete, you could probably do all of them in an hour or 2 and move on, and then you'd have a day and a half to sort of relax, go see the area, Whereas like Daisy and I were sort of like, we couldn't do too much because we had to keep going back. And like, you'd go and do your photos, which was a 30-second job. Like, you had to stand there with your arms folded, and like all of that. It genuinely took less than 3 minutes. And, you know, we carved out a whole afternoon for that. So it's just me being a bit of a princess, but it's just like things that like you could easily just have a 2-hour window where you have to do everything. You go around in your group, job done, and then they can do the next lot. So just a bit of like organization. It's like, it wasn't optimal basically. It just meant that like, you know, we're still like out there. So it wasn't the end of the world. And like, we were vlogging it all and soaking it all in, and it was good fun. So, I'm sure it wasn't as annoying to me as it was for people that have to do it every single year. But yeah, it was a bit of unnecessary stress and just ag that you didn't need. Like, it could have just been a couple of hours, one morning, job done. We are pulling you away from this video to remind you to check out the merch website. We've got so much new stuff coming out. These new jumpers included, umbrella hats are coming, it's all happening. All your favorite products are still on there as well. And look at these kids tees. How cute is that? This one's reserved for my coach, John. He's gonna love it. Check out the site. So another thing that I think needs to improve is just generally the prize money. Obviously, we were very lucky this year that Mitch Hooper raised a bit of an athlete fund for each of the athletes to help pay for their friends and family. But realistically, if you wanted to take 1 or 2 people with you to World's Strongest Man and you didn't make the final, you would be losing money. It's very well documented. A lot of people have done videos on this. And you just don't go to World's Strongest Man to expect to make money. Luckily, you know, sponsor bonuses and stuff like that help. And, you know, we ended up doing okay being in the final and coming 5th. Like, it was worthwhile going, basically. But for 90% of the guys, like anyone that didn't make the final, they will probably be, especially if they come internationally, they will be loss making. And it doesn't sound like a big deal. Like, it is what it is. Like, that's the reality of our sport. But for the pinnacle and for World's Strongest Man, you would just expect the guys to be like the top 25 in your sport to at least have something to come home with. And like, even if you didn't make the final, but like, you've just made a little bit, and you know, you're not paying your own way there basically. But obviously they do cover your flights, they cover your accommodation, all of that sort of thing. But it's tough for the guys that are like, you know, again, you're paying your food while you're there, you're paying all this stuff. So it's just one thing. It's going to take time. I know like there's not a huge budget, etc., but it's just one thing. Like, you're going to World Champs, like it's just a bit annoying, isn't it? So there we go. There are my 3 good and 3 bad things from my experience of World's Strongest Man. Again, just to reiterate before we go, the entire experience was overwhelmingly positive. I am just pointing out things that I think could be improved. It had the best time. Daisy had the best time as well. Like, the whole athlete experience was just unreal. And I really, really hope we are there again next year. We will do all we can. We've got a few Giants Live comps coming up. So first up, we've got the Royal Albert Hall. The lineup is insane at the Strongman Classic. So I can't wait. There's some really good events for me there. So that'll be really spicy, and I'm excited. Again, it's just like another World's Strongest Man final, to be honest. So that'll be really, really cool. And then obviously we've got England's Strongest Man later in July, where I will be going for my first title, hopefully. We are going in confident, guys. They're really good events, and I just feel like it's my time to win it now. We've come off 2 good performances, so that for me is the comp we are really, really aiming for at the minute. And the events are similar-ish to the Royal Albert Hall, so training's going to line up well. If you've made it this far, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about World's Strongest Man this year. Obviously, I didn't even talk about the main issue being we still don't have a live stream. Are we ever going to get a live stream? Who knows? But that is just like common talk at this point. I quite like the Christmas vibe. I don't like that you can't see it before Christmas. But, you know, it's been a bit of a tradition in our household for sure. So, yeah, let me know what you think below. Please check out the merch site if you haven't already. We've got loads of stuff on there. We're constantly restocking. You guys are absolute legends. And I will catch you in the next video. Peace.